Hey, worship leader, have you ever walked into church on a Sunday morning and one of your musicians or lead vocalist says, "Hey, pastor, what mic am I supposed to use?" Well, this happened at my church until we did this. And today, we're going to show you how to make one of these. Let's get it. Well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Benji Wilson, and today we're going to show you how to build a weekly worship template just like the one you saw using a program called Affinity Designer. Yes, I said Affinity Designer. Most of you probably thought that I was going to say Photoshop. These programs are very similar in what they can do. A lot of people love the Adobe world. I have just found that Affinity Designer is easier for me to use. This program is available not only on Mac, but for Windows computers. And if you do have Apple products, you can use this. They have an iPad app as well. If you go to the Affinity Designer website, which I'm going to show you here, they have available to you, again, just type in Affinity Designer in a Google search or what have you. They have all kinds of different pricing structures. Sometimes they end up with discounts, and you can make this available. Just click the buy now. You can also go to the App Store. It is available in the Apple App Store right here, as you can see, and you can, buy it there and download it and use it to your liking. Now, I do want to tell you that by using this piece of software, it is very user-friendly. So this is what the end result will look like once you finally get everything dialed in. But I will show you, I'm going to show you how we actually started building this, okay? So I've got a template layout here. All this is a 1920 by 1080 graphic, essentially. And then the way I started it out, I took 1920 across the top, again, by 1080 down the sides. And I know that we have 5 musicians that typically play a week in our church. We also have at our church 4 vocalists, of which any of the 4 can lead songs. And then we have a pastor, obviously, who has a headset mic. And we also have a host who does like transition times, announcements, and things like that, maybe during service. So the way I did this is I ended up, as you can see across the top, 5 different boxes. They're all about the same size. And I have actually 7 across the bottom here. And the reason I did 7, sometimes we have a third transition if we're doing like a night of worship or something like that. So I'll put an extra pastor there. Maybe it's a special service and we end up having 5 singers instead. So I'll put a 5th singer in there. But again, I'm going to show you how to do this. So what I did first is I just make a rectangle box. I can be a square. If we do our math, we'll see that 1920 divided by 5 is essentially, I think it's 384. You can see down here in the corner, it's 384 pixels. I just chose 389 pixels tall. Doesn't mean you have to do that. You can stretch this however you would like. And that left a difference down here on the bottom of this template of 274 wide by 690 high. So that way it fills in the entire graphic. Again, this is 5 for us across the top, 7 across the bottom. So what I did here, I added a box, and then I'm going to go down here in the bottom. I'm going to get my box size here, and that box size is 384 by 389. So I'm just going to change this right here, 384 by 389. And when I'm done, you can see it'll stretch it out to that specific ratio, okay? Now, once I do that, I'm going to go up here to my stroke in Affinity Designer over here on the side, and then I can choose whatever color I want. If I want this to be purple, if I want it to be, whatever. We wanted it to kind of match our colors of our church. So our yellow is F7D957. That is our specific color. And you can see here, again, I'm going to choose this arrow so I can get off this. You can see here how that looks. Now, all I did next is copied and paste this, and then I drug it over on top of each other. Now, once I got that done, I just went here and I copied and pasted and I pulled this down. And instead of having to make an entire new rectangle box, I just drug it down. Made it easier for me. Now, we wanted that size to be actually 274 by 690. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to make this 274 by 690 down here in the bottom. Easy enough. And then we just started the copy and paste process again. Now, once that's finished, again, you can see I've kind of got my layout the same. Then I just dropped in some text to the field. So I'm going to just, for time's sake, copy this in. And you can kind of see how everything goes in one by one by one. Now, you may ask, well, how did I get these pictures in the system? Well, what I did, we have a photographer every Sunday that's scheduled with a team lead, and the team lead will take pictures of our band and or our vocalist or pastors or transition host, whatever. And all we did was we took an additional tab. We made a new template, one for band here, which matches the size 384 by 389. Same thing for vocalist. And on the vocalist, again, all we would do there is I'm going to show you how we would pull in a photo of them. I have them saved into a folder. If it's a vocalist, what they would typically look like is they would come in something like this, and then we would end up bringing them in here. So you can see how the picture kind of is larger than what the size should be. I'm just going to scroll out here, and you can see I'm trying to get my bearing straight because, again, it's the quality of the photo. So I'm going to pull this in, and then once I get this, I can zoom it back in, and I can size this however I would like to based on what I want. And then all I do is export this picture. Once I file, export, I'm going to save it. Doesn't matter if it's a PNG or a JPEG. I'm just going to export it. And then I'm going to say, I want this to go into my folder, and I'm going to name this person. Now, once I have that, again, I would do the exact same thing to the band. I'm not going to do that for time's sake. Once I'm finished, all I'm going to do is come back into that folder, and I'm going to start bringing in my vocalist and my band. So I'm going to go into vocals. I'm going to pull in the person that I just did, and it pretty much lines up with the exact same thing. Now, I'm going to drag that, but I'm going to actually drag that to the bottom down here because I want that to sit behind the yellow box that we built. So that's important to note. I want to put it behind the box that we built. So again, on my vocalist, all I do is I come here and I created a text box for each one of these. Once I did, all I simply did was went to group, put all of them beside each other, as you can see here, like these rectangles, and then I hit group, and that's what grouped everything together. As I pulled in each of my band members and I pulled in each of my vocalists, then I did the same for our pastors and such, and ultimately it ended up working out like this. Now, once I'm finished with that each week, what I'll do is I'll come into our Planning Center account, and in Planning Center under Services, I will actually take that photo and I will go into the specific service that we're in. And then down here in the bottom of the service, there is a files area. And you can see all I did once I saved my picture here, here's the picture. Once I saved the picture here, all I did was dragged it in over to the file. And once I did that, it saved into that file. So now when I log in on my phone shows the very first file for our front of house guy, as well as our rest of our team, that specific file. Now what I do for my photo is I would upload this. We have a program that we use called Proclaim, which is what you saw on this TV here that you're seeing now. It's Proclaim, and I simply drag that into that folder. Proclaim is another piece of software that you can get if you like. It runs on Apple TVs and such. The easiest thing to do, honestly, is just take this file, save it to a zip drive, or to a USB drive, rather. Once you save it to a USB drive, pop that in the back of the television there, and then you have access to all of that. So it'll show on your television. This way, when your people walk in, there's no question about exactly who is leading for that day. And it also tells them, you saw their 1, 2, 3, 4, what mic and in-ear pack that they are using. Well, I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, click that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications for future videos. Again, my name's Benji Wilson. If you have any questions or comments, please leave us a comment down below. We'd love to help you in your church. Don't forget to click that download link so you can have access to this file and use it for your church.